Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Bailey and I've been doing art as a hobby for about 2 years now. Before that I did have it as an interest, but I really got into it about 2 years ago when I made a New Year's resolution that I was either going to just completely quit art altogether and never draw a single thing again, or I'd, you know, I'd crack down and draw every single day. Now, when I did start this, I did have a 200-page sketchbook and a load of pencils, and I took that sketchbook everywhere with me. And I was terrible at it. And I used to show people like the art that I was doing, and people would come up to me and ask, and I really loved that about like when you're doing art in public and people like come up and go, "Oh, what are you drawing? What do you like to draw?" Yeah, I really like that idea, that thing that people did. And honestly, don't stop doing it because as an artist, I really do like talking about what I'm doing. And I think every artist does. So that's why I'm making this video, essentially. This is basically just to show people my art and get the word out there that I am an artist and I am doing art on the internet. And I've been studying for 2 years, but now I really want to get into the thick of it. So if you please like and subscribe this video and share it around, and I totally appreciate it. Now, although this is my first YouTube video, I have actually been doing art for 2 years online on my Instagram and Twitter every now and again. So there are a couple of photos on there. So links to those will be in the description. But as I said, I've only been doing art for 2 years, and yet this is what I can do. So how do I get good? And how can you get good? Is basically the structure of this video. So essentially, as I said, I started hulking down, either draw every day or don't draw at all. And it worked for 2 months. Yeah, I failed like in March. I did literally draw every single day. I was practicing, doing references, I was doing figure poses and stuff like that. And then I just didn't want to draw anymore. And I didn't have any more ideas. And I was completely burnt out. Because that's what happens when you have art. You burn out. So, yeah, I completely died. I did not like the way that my art was going. I really wanted a cutie aesthetic, but I didn't have a cute aesthetic. I had more of a, like, traditional, like, I think it's like what's it called, when it's like gritty design, like, yeah, you know what I mean, gritty design. Like realist impression, I guess, of art. I don't know what the word is, oh my gosh. So yeah, I had that kind of thing and I really wanted a cute design, and I really hit home for that early on, and it didn't go down very well. My proportions were well off. I had huge heads, as everybody did, huge hands and small bodies, and yeah, it didn't really suit my art very well at all. So I switched up my tactics, got loads of different artists that I liked together, and I was like, okay, let's go. So my number one tip is surround yourself with art that you love, right? So I love gothic graphic fantasy art, the big major powerhouses, but that did go towards a more realistic look. But I also love like character design and cutesy, like illustrative design of the new age kind of characters that you see on things like Instagram and Twitter. So I wanted to mash those two together. And that is how I got this cute little girl over here that is the drag girl called Trix. the one that I'm drawing, by the way, if you didn't catch that, out of that complete mess of non-verbs. Verbs. They're describing words. Yeah, so essentially, I wanted to draw this dragon girl, and I started off with a girl with horns and long flowing fiery red hair and scale plate mail on her shoulders and stuff like that. And I did have a load of references on Pinterest to show this, and I thought, man, I really like the design, but it doesn't look like a dragon. So later on in the design, I added scales on her cheeks to show blushies because I thought it was adorable. And also, I gave her wings, but the wings are really hard to do. Like, the one on the left took me ages, and early on it looked really creepy because it looked like a hand that was on backwards. So, yeah, to say I'm learning is definitely still a valid point. I'm really like new into my art, but I'm really loving it. I'm loving it so much. So, going backwards and forwards as I was learning, I was looking up YouTube videos on basically the foundations of art, perspective, shading, lighting, and color theory. These things, if you focus on them to death, it's not gonna hurt you. Although, practice what they're telling you. Practice what the people on YouTube are telling you. Don't just watch and go, yes, that's totally interesting. Because you won't get any skill, right? So here's the thing. For the majority of the 2 years, I'd make poses in people poses, so like shapes of people. And that's it. No hair, no eyes, no character, nothing. No color, no lighting, no shading. And recently, this has been a huge problem because I want to get things out online. I really want to share my ideas, and yet, nothing. So that's why I decided to record. Essentially, I wanted to like share my ideas with people, and so there's this thing that I like doing with my art, which is getting the critter file and then breaking down each layer by layer and having a look at every layer and how it got built together. And I think recording this Speedpaint has like brought that back and allowed me to show it with you all, because it shows the initial design, how I've pieced it together, and how it builds up to an actual picture, which I think is really good because you don't get a lot of that online. And you don't get a lot of that in the community, especially with like a talk through over the top. You just get like this really high paced video that you have in front of you to a music backing track. So I really wanted to be different there as well and really show like my personality and what I'd like to do. And when I started 2 years ago, I got burnt out a lot, but there were a lot of things that keep me motivated. First off, we need artists more than ever. There is a lot more artist space out there now than there ever was before, and there ever will be again. Maybe. Because there's like ads everywhere. We need artists for movies because CG is coming more in film than ever before. At the moment, animation in film is at a lull, but it is extremely high online. Like, you can get animation quality animation online very cheap, and you can find it on YouTube. It's called Jaden Animations and The Odd Ones Out and Something Else YT and Tim Tom and Darmix and so many more YouTubers out there that I watch religiously. And it is scary how much I watch these people and I'm like in awe inspiring of what they do, and I'm like, one day I want to be like you. I want to be part of the community, and I all I need to do is practice, and practice I will. But today I am just showing off a speed paint and trying to get in my head exactly how YouTube works, how to upload to YouTube, and really showcase what I can do and what I want to bring to the table. And I do have some ideas of things in the future to come through with this speed paint. I really do want to do like challenges and stuff like that. Like, you know, the 3 marker challenge, the draw what I've done before. Well, redraws. By the way, I'm looking to redraw my oldest piece, which was the first one that I did 2 years ago. So, if you want to stay tuned for that, you can subscribe down below. And if you do like this video, please like. Yeah. Also, I would like to draw this in my style. I might do a lot of Disney characters for that and stuff like this. Or like draw this in my style plus fantasy characters. Because like having like Hercules as a centaur or something like that, I think that would be a really good idea as well. So I might do that too. I've got so many ideas for the channel, more than this, but like at the moment what I'm struggling with is being able to do it in time. For example, this sketch right here, it's just a profile at 3/4, right? So it's just somebody looking off to the side, kind of glum, because let's face it, she's a stern person. But it took me like 6 hours, and that's 6 consistent hours. I actually did this over 3 draws, right, of 2-hour lengths, and it really puts in perspective how long it takes. So the 6 hours was actually done over 12 hours. And so it can take a really long time just for me to make one picture, just because I'm so new and I don't have much practice. But I'm determined, gosh darn it, I really want to get this done. So there was a lot of things that I was doing wrong, even in this picture. I can see it now that I'm going over stuff repeatedly, going over undo and then redo line by line. Like, I'm redoing the hair in this picture, the one that flows down, and I don't really need to. I just need to like use what I have, like use like extend the chin line a bit more so that I don't have to cut so close, you know, that kind of thing. I don't want to stick to the sketch. I want to make the line art, and I want to be able to vary it, and I didn't think of that when it came to this, right? And having a good solid idea of who the character is in my head first, and also not being afraid to design late on into the sketch as well. Like, I learned that adding scales and adding wings after the fact is still nice and still a good design choice. I don't have to stick to a design and then render. I can design, and then render. Like, do little things to make it better. Essentially, that is what I've learned from even this picture. Also, things like backgrounds and coloured lines, I wish I put into this, but I know why I didn't, and that's because it took so long, and I knew it would take so long. I also really like the cel-shaded aesthetic in this, and as a young artist I was like, oh, I really want to shade, I really like shading. Shading is great. And I know Ross Draws does a lot of shading and stuff like that, and I know I'm shouting out a lot of like other animators, but they really are inspiring. So any one of them you can go check out. And I really like Ross Draws shading, but I can't do it. And I will in future, and I'll carry on trying, trust me, but I also like cell shaded aesthetic, and I thought cell shaded is the way to go for this because it's a nice one color, like one tone picture. It is a bit oversaturated. In my opinion, that's a lot of my designs are really saturated, so I've really got to turn that down a bunch, but oh well. I like it at the start. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I need to build up on, but I've got the basics down now. And so if you do want me to do anything actually interesting, please do hit me up in the comments as to what you'd like to see from me next. And I'd really like to check out your thoughts and ideas and keep talking to you. So essentially, my goal for this year is to upload to YouTube, share around my art, get way more art out for the time that I'm spending on it, and like really go the extra mile as to showing it to you guys. And I think my goal for that would be, I'd say one speed paint every week. So it will be every Saturday around 8 p.m. GMT, which I think is around 3 p.m. PST. So that's Pacific Eastern Time or whatever. Yeah, Eastern Standard Time I think it is. Yeah, because it's five hours behind the UK. So somewhere around that. So that's the time every week that I'd like to continue to upload. But at this stage, I'm just like doing what I can to, make an effort. But if I was going to upload, those would be my times. And the reason for me not uploading is not because, like, I have forgotten about you guys or anything. It will be because the picture's taking too long for me to draw because I'm not skilled enough yet and I'm practicing and learning new things. And I think when I did Inktober, because I did Inktober 2 years ago and I was like, oh yeah, no, I really want to do this. I got 7 days in, and it was because I wanted to practice things like form and shape and shading, but like I've got that down now, so I think I can do this, right? There was a lot of things where I was outside of my comfort zone. I hadn't drawn before, but now I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Also, I can always have like references up on my second screen, whereas there is no time to look for references when you're doing a picture a day. And those Inktober pictures are on my Instagram as well, by the way. They all took 3 hours each. Yes, including the Charmander one. And they were all based off of a reference word. Whereas now I am completely free to do what I'd like to do. But I'd also love to do challenges and stuff. So, look forward to that in the future. So, yeah, basically, what I did to get better at art is be persistent, learn from what other people are telling you, and essentially telling themselves and showing you, and like everything's online. You can do it yourself if you truly put your mind to it. However, you might get better understanding learning with a teacher. So if you have that option, go for it. I don't have that option, or I didn't have that option, so it's a struggle. It was a struggle for a time, and now I'm happy doing what I do, and maybe I might have commissions in the future, so keep an eye out. Watch the space, watch Instagram and Twitter, which links are in the description. I don't know whether I said that already. Yeah, so check those out. and I might have a commissions board up there in the relevant future. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've got 2 minutes left. Um, I think I've covered about everything. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes here. Also, I'd like to say that you also need to be very critical of yourself, but like not to a point where you want everything perfect. Like, essentially, while you're drawing the picture, just try and be the best that you can be. And then once you're done, have a look back in a couple of days, see what you've done that wasn't quite right, and how you can do it better and how you can improve on it in the future. Also, remember to flip your screen. I know that in the first half of this video, I actually didn't flip the screen horizontally at all until I started working on the pelt on the shoulder guard. Then I flipped the screen and I was like, oh no, the chin is awful. And yes, you can go back and watch it, and it is dreadful. And I know this sounds critical. Me highlighting my mistakes and showing them out to you just allows me to get better in the future. For example, this section with the eyes. I totally forgot to put lock on the alpha here, and when I went over with the eyes, I was like, oh, it's not a problem. I'm sure I can hide it underneath later. But it turns out I had to go back and erase the outside of the iris, and because I'd used all my undos already, and yeah, you can just see it here. But I did fix it up, and I do the eyes in an interesting way where I just draw all the threads of the eyes, and then after that I put in the shading, and it makes it look really glossy and quite nice. Also, a keynote about her eyes is the fact that they're like slitted eyes. They're kind of like dragon eyes, but a more human color. So I really like that about this character as well. There's a lot of little tiny things like that in this picture. So if you do want to check out this picture, it is also on Instagram as well. And the link to that is also in the description. So if you do like this video, please do leave a like. And I'll see you next week with the redraw my old art from 2 years ago. So thank you guys ever so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend, and thank you so much. Love you all. Bye.